What's going on, guys? This is Patrick from Patty Sends. In this video, I'm going to be servicing the wheels on my 2022 Trek Roscoe 8. That means I'm going to be replacing the sealant, the rim tape, and the valve stems. Without further ado, let's get into it. So to start off, I'm going to take off the back wheel first. Both front and back wheels do come with through axles, as well as this little wrench that kind of just stays on the bike from the factory, so it makes taking the wheels off and putting them back on the fly super easy. Alright, so this bike also does come with a SRAM GX Eagle derailleur, and it comes with a built-in clutch to eliminate any of that chain slap. So as you can see there, it's kind of like a built-in tensioner. So this derailleur also does come with a little lockout, so we're going to do that before taking off the rear wheel, just to kind of help you get the derailleur out of the way and make the chain a little bit looser. Okay, so now I'm just going to loosen off that through axle as I mentioned earlier. There we go, you can feel it come out. And with a little bit of wiggling, wheel number one is off. Okay, so now that the back wheel's off, I will be putting the through axle back on the bike. I won't be tightening it back down, I'll just be putting it in enough just so that it kind of holds there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just unlock the derailleur here. So just with a little push, kind of snaps off like that, and then comes up nice, just to kind of relieve the tension from it. Next, I'm going to take off the front wheel. I'm going to be using that wrench that I mentioned earlier. It is universal, so I can use it both front and back. And then after that, we can get to servicing the wheels. And just like that, right off. All right, so the first step is to locate the current valve stem that is on the wheel. Mine is right here. And I actually have these 3D printed valve caps that I made with my 3D printer because my old ones cracked and broke. After you do that, you're going to want to release all the air from the tire. As you can see here, all the air is out. You're going to want to try to start working the tire off of the rim. This can be pretty difficult. I hope that I'm able to. I actually do have some of these tire levers. I think I got these at Canadian Tire. We will see how well they work. There we go. So we were able to release the tire from the bead. There we go. Holy. These tires have not been taken off and the sealant is non-existent. So definitely needed to do this. Okay, so I have one side completely off. I'm now going to go and release the other side as well. There we go. Holy. I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah, there is absolutely no sealant left in these tires. All right, so we do have these cheap tire levers. They are plastic. Preferably you want to be using the plastic levers. I think they do make metal ones, but metal ones will scratch your rim. Plastic is always the better option. Okay, so to start, you're going to want to just try to find anywhere around the rim, and you're just going to try to pull this tire off of the rim, just like so. So as you can see here, the edge of that tire is currently hanging over the rim. You want to do this somewhere around the rim that has a spoke on the same side as the side of the rim that you're trying to take the tire off of, so then you can hook your tire lever around that spoke to hold it in place just like that. Now that you have this tire lever in place, you're going to take your second tire lever and you're going to start working that bead off of the rim around the tire. Go, and then the more that comes off, the easier it is. Yeah, just like that. Let's see, this other one here completely comes off, and you can just use one to help slide it all the way around. There we go. As you guys can see here, I have the one side of the tire completely off. My sealant is non-existent and all dried up, so we will be taking this tire off and cleaning it up. All right, so now that we do have one side of the tire off, it's pretty simple to get the other side off. You kind of just have to pull it off and work your way around the rim, and just like that, the tire's off. All right, so after quite a bit of effort and scrubbing, I was able to actually get most of it off. There are some spots that still have sealant on them, but it's going to have to do for now. All right, so now that I have the tire pretty much clean, I'm now just gonna take a damp paper towel and just wipe the rim off and get some of this dried sealant off. All right, so now that I have the rim mostly cleaned up, I will be removing the valve stem. So there's just this little nut on the one side that I have to screw off. There it goes. And then the valve stem just comes right out. Now that I have the valve stem out and the rim cleaned up, I'm gonna be using this tubeless rim tape from Muck Off. I got this from my local bike store, the Bike Zone, and we're gonna see how well this works. All right, so now we're gonna be putting on our rim tape. I'm gonna start somewhere kind of around, but not on where the valve stem goes. And I'm just going to lay this guy down in the middle of the rim, like so. And as I'm going along here, I'm just gonna make sure I'm pushing this tape right down into the center of the rim. There we go, that's what we want. Right down in that channel, just so then we get a nice, good, tight fit. All right, so as I'm coming back around, one full rotation, I'm gonna go right over top of where the valve stem goes in. And I'm going to overlap the tape a little bit, just so to make sure that there's a nice tight fit and tight seal. So just like that. That's one full rotation. All right, so I just cut the end of the tape off with these little snips I have. And now I'm gonna go back around the rim and just make sure that it's nice and pressed down within the rim, making sure that there's no spots that are left loose. You don't need to. All right, and there we go. All right, so the valves that I chose for this are the Fillmore tubeless valves. These are slightly different than your traditional Presta valves. And we'll be testing these out over the course of the summer just to see how well they actually work compared to the Presta valves. But without further ado, let's get these on. All right, so a little tip that I learned from a friend is when you have this rim tape on here and you want to go and put your new valves in, you got to take something sharp. Doesn't really matter what it is. Poke a little hole right in the tape, right where that hole is for the valve to go in. This way, when you go to put the valve in, it actually creates a better seal because it's going not only with this little rubber piece on the actual valve sealing it, but it's also being sealed, pressed up against the tape. All right, so we're gonna go and we're gonna press in our new valves. There we go. Got this little nut that goes on the other side. Tighten that guy down, nice and tight. As tight as you can go with your fingers. That guy's in there nicely. All right, so I have the rims cleaned and taped and I have the stems in. The next step is going to be putting tires on these and the sealant in them, but I will be having to get new ones. Just after cleaning these old ones, I have come to the conclusion that it is time to get new tires. They are pretty old and pretty worn down anyway, so it is about time I get new ones. So I will come back and I will put those on once I get them. So it's been a few days. I've done my research and I finally have gotten some new tires. On the front, we're gonna be running a Maxxis Minion DHF, a little bit knobby, more aggressive front tire to help me get some more grip. And for the rear, I'm gonna be doing this Maxxis Dissector, a little bit less aggressive, still very knobby though, but kind of able to break loose that back tire when going around some corners. Hopefully these guys will work out well for me. Without further ado, let's get them on. All right guys, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this front tire on first. I'm gonna walk you through the steps, kind of what I'm doing, explaining things as I go. So if you're doing it at home, you can follow along. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I oriented the camera so you can kind of see everything down here that I'm doing. Our first step here is actually going to be lining up our logo with our valve stem. This is not only for style points, but it actually serves a purpose. If you have the logo lined up with the valve stem, it actually makes it a lot easier to find this valve stem if you're out on the trail and you're needing to pump up your tires. All you gotta do is look for that logo and the valve stem is right there. All right guys, so the first step to this process is to mount half of the tire onto the rim. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to do that right now. This has proven to be difficult in the past, so hopefully we have a little bit more luck on our side today. If not, we may have to try to use some other measures to get this tire on, but here we go. It's rolling right up into that rim, bang. Okay, first side of the tire is on, moving on to the next step. Now that we have the first side of the tire on, the next step is to get the second side of the tire on. Not completely though, you do want to leave a bit of an opening right around the valve stem, just so then you can pour that sealant into the tire, and then you're going to rotate the tire around after you put the sealant in, and then you'll be able to fully put the tire on. All right, let's get into it. Second side of the tire, here we go. This shouldn't be as much of a struggle as the first side, just because we're not going all the way around. So, there we go. Okay, so as you can see right there, we're gonna leave that bottom side open and we're gonna get our sealant ready and we're gonna put that in. All right, so we are using Stan's original tubeless sealant for our tires here. I was recommended this from a friend and they said it worked really well, so we're gonna do the same thing. But we're gonna use about 150 milliliters of this because our tire size, that's the recommended amount. And we're gonna get that in there and we're gonna mount the other side of the tire. I'll come back to you guys once this is finished. And the next step is to get it inflated. For us, unfortunately, we do only have this little Crank Brothers hand pump. There are two settings on it though. There's high volume and low volume. So I'm hoping that this, with enough effort, can actually seat this tire, but wish me luck. I'm back. So, as you know, I was using this little hand pump to try to seat my tires. Turns out it wasn't quite strong enough. It's not the application this is supposed to be used for. This is supposed to be more of like an on-the-trail sort of pump, so if you need to inflate your tires, if you get a puncture or something, this is the perfect tool for that. Not quite for seating a tire. So what I did is I went up to my local Canadian Tire. For about $35, I picked up this floor pump. Worked absolutely amazing. First try, it seated the bead. So now we're actually going to be able to put these tires and rims back on my bike and get it put back together. All right, so I got the front tire on. For the back tire, I did take my bike off of my stand just to make it a little bit easier to put the back tire on. So I'll come back to you once it's on. So we ran into a bit of an issue. When I put the back tire on, as you can see, pedals forwards, as it should, but it also pedals backwards. So that is not good. We're gonna try to take everything back apart and see what's wrong. All right, so I took off the cassette again, and I believe I have found the culprit. These little guys here, these are little spring activated little hooks. So you can see right there, I push it down, it pops back out. When you hear that like ratcheting sound when you put a bike backwards, that's these guys going around in a circle when you pull it backwards, and then they engage the tire as you push forward with your pedal. So since these guys weren't in there, it was actually just getting caught right on these little ledges, and that's what was pulling the tire backwards instead of just sliding right over. So I believe this is going to be a fairly simple fix. We're just going to get the screwdriver to push down the little springs that are in here. And then we're going to slide these guys right on over top of those springs. There we go. Okay, there's one done. I know this is kind of tight quarters here. This is pretty much the only flat surface I have in my dorm room here. But we're making the best of it. We're making the best of it. There we go. Okay. That guy's in there. All those little tabs are back in there now. Hopefully this is the fix. We will get this guy back mounted to my rear tire, and then we'll get the tire back on the bike. And then, yeah, that should be pretty much it. I got the cassette back onto the wheel, and I got the wheel back on the bike now, and taking a look at it, it looks absolutely amazing. I'll let you guys get a better look at it right now. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed coming along with me through the ups and downs of this process. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment down below if you like the tire setup that I chose, as well as comment your current tire setup. I really want to know, maybe to get some ideas for the future. With that being said, I will be hopefully posting more during the summer, hopefully some riding videos. I did just get a new GoPro, so hopefully we can get some actual trail footage. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for watching. This is Patty Sens, signing off.